Thank you for joining us. This is the webinar After School Special Series. Today's topic is Pediatric TBI from hospitalization to classroom, and our speakers today come to us from ChildServe here in the Des Moines area. Our speakers include a trio of ladies. Kimberly Donner is a speech-language pathologist, and she received her bachelor's in speech and hearing science from the University of Iowa in 1996. In 1998, she earned her master's degree in communicative disorders and sciences from Wichita State University. She has experience working in the school setting as well as outpatient and inpatient rehabilitation. Beth Hennis is an occupational therapist at ChildServe. She received her master's degree in occupational therapy from Washington University School of Medicine in St. Louis in 1998. She has experience working with adults and children who have experienced traumatic or acquired brain injury in an inpatient rehabilitation setting. And our third presenter is Camille Peterson. She's a physical therapist and received her BS in exercise science from Iowa State University in 1991. She completed her Master's of Physical Therapy at the University of Iowa in 1994. She has experience in inpatient and outpatient rehabilitation with a focus in pediatrics. So thank you, ladies, for agreeing to present for us today. The presentation is being recorded, so all attendees are in listen-only mode. I have you muted. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the questions box, and we can address those at the end of the presentation. When the presentation is over, I do ask that you complete the survey that will pop up on your screen so that we have feedback on how this presentation went, as well as ideas for future topics. So without further ado, ladies, I'm going to turn it on over to you.
Okay, this is Beth, and I'm going to start out with the brain injury journey and give you a moment to look over the objectives. Hopefully we will have covered all these by the end of the presentation. The brain injury journey starts in the acute hospital setting, where the main focus is really keeping the child alive and working towards medical stability. Once that is achieved and they're ready to participate in more therapy and rehab and are medically stable, they may receive intensive physical therapy, which really focuses on functional mobility and how the child is going to be getting around, working on leg strength and things like that. Speech therapy, which may work on feeding and swallowing, communication issues, any cognitive deficits that the child may be experiencing. Occupational therapy, which we work on anything from improving arm strength to addressing vision to working on ADLs, which is really anything the child has to do in their daily life, like dressing, bathing, self-feeding, those kinds of things. TR, which is therapeutic rec, and their role is to incorporate play in a therapeutic way. So they will look at therapy goals and try to incorporate those into the play activities that the child prefers. Child life specialist, their role, they really specialize in helping children through medical procedures. They can provide support to siblings. Our child life specialist here at ChildServe is also a car seat specialist, so works with us and with family to assure that the child has a safe way to be transported once they leave the facility. So the child can receive up to 6+ hours a day of therapy once they've left the hospital and have come to a rehab setting. This may also include music therapy, aquatic therapy, or pet therapy. The child is also receiving intensive nursing and maybe respiratory cares at this time during the rehab process. Depending on how long the child is here, we may help set up homebound school so that they don't get so far behind, if that's something that is feasible for them to do. And we also work with the child and the family just really to gain as much function as possible before transitioning home and back to school. So once they're in the rehab setting, our goal right away is to get them back home and get them back into their life and help them to be as independent as possible. When the child is ready to discharge from the rehab setting to home, we have a family meeting that's held with the child if they are wanting to participate and can participate. We have family available, nursing is there, our social worker, care coordinators, and the therapy staff that have worked with the child. School staff may be present. We always encourage them to come to help with the transition back to school. We've had principals at school meetings. We've had school aides, teachers, AEA staff. We always encourage any school staff that are appropriate to come, and it just helps make the transition more seamless. We also make recommendations at this time for outpatient therapies. Very, very frequently the child is not done with getting therapy. They're just ready to go home but need to continue to improve on some things. So we recommend outpatient therapy and AEA services. And they almost always have ongoing follow-up medical appointments that are scheduled after discharge. We like to have the brain injury team through the AEA assist with the transition if available. I know that team might not always be available, but if they are, we highly recommend that they become involved with this transition to help that child and family. At this time at discharge, we also make recommendations for the length of the school day, as the child may not be able to tolerate a full day, and make recommendations for possible modifications and any other supports that might be needed in the classroom and at home. Things that school can do to help prepare for the child's return once they've been discharged from the rehab setting. The teachers, staff, school nurse should prep the student's classmates on what has happened to the student and how that student may look, behave, or function differently. Our child life specialists and our parents can assist school with reintegration into the school setting, including peer preparation. And you should always take into consideration the student's wish for sharing of information regarding their injury and identifying the student's primary concerns about returning to school. Some children are very anxious to get back to see their friends and get back into that setting. Some of them have a lot of concerns about how they may be perceived, and so it's just very important to take those personal wishes into consideration. We have a couple videos for you. This is Jack. He sustained his brain injury in 2009, and we thought it would be important for you to hear straight from him. And he made the transition back into school after his brain injury, and he's got some important things to say.
What was one really great thing that your teacher did to make going back to school easier after your brain injury?
Well, she kind of used certain and explain the assignments in full detail. So that was really helpful to my brain and stuff. And I had an aide at that point named Mr. Snow, and he kind of helped me through the process of getting back from my brain injury.
What was one thing that your teacher could have done better to make the school day go easier for you?
Well, she could just lay out the assignments, and I can kind of visualize it. Because, I mean, I'm an child, but also visual at the same time. Writing was hard for me at that point, and since then I've had people help me with that struggle.
If you could give one piece of advice to the teachers of the world regarding kids with brain injuries, what would it be?
Just sit down with them and listen to what they have to say. Because, I mean, they aren't the same kids that were in your class, so they're not grade A students. Never will be.
So I understand that the video was a little hard to understand. I think the main points that Jack had were that he had an aide that really helped him during the day once he transitioned back to school, and that he really needed more help in organizing his work from the teacher, and really needed to have the teacher understand what the fact that he wasn't processing the information the same and was just going to be learning differently. He doesn't give himself enough credit at the end when he says kids with the brain injury are never going to be A students. That's very feasible, and Jack, as of this year, is proficient in all his grade level classes. So 5 years post, he's met his goal, and so he doesn't need any more resource help. But there was 5 years where he really needed extra effort by his teacher and help from an aide to help him work with his classmates and get through school. Some children may take longer than that. They may always need that extra help, but it just depends on the child. We have a second video, which is actually Jack's mom. We thought it was important to capture her perspective on the challenges of having a child with a brain injury return to school.
What 2 or 3 pieces of advice would you give educators regarding helping children with brain injuries, being as you would have a child who has a brain injury?
I think the big thing is that having a brain injury, every child's different. So there's no clear cut path they have. Like if somebody has more of a stated special needs. So I think just understanding and talking through parents and like the therapists are very supportive. Our because the therapist will always come in and school setting help us transition our transition back